This week, we're going to be looking at Virginia Woolf's essay on being ill. This was published in at least 3 versions, the history of which you can find in Hermione Lee's introduction to the volume. As Lee discusses in her introduction, Woolf was subject to bouts of illness throughout her life, the exact diagnosis of which we do not know. Woolf's illnesses always began with high fevers, and she had other physical symptoms as well. But of course, the symptoms that have been most enticing to armchair physicians were the mental effects that accompanied her somatic symptoms. Hallucinations primarily, but also depression. If you do 10 minutes of research on Google, you will find a number of experts who will tell you exactly what was wrong with Woolf and exactly why she killed herself in 1941. I caution you to be wary of these diagnoses. As Lee points out in your introduction and at more length in her biography of Woolf, the treatment, including medicines, that doctors gave Woolf actually caused the mental symptoms that she had. So we don't actually know at all whether she would have had mental symptoms along with her physical illnesses if not for the treatment she received. If you are interested in learning more about this subject, I recommend Lee's biography, which is far and away the best researched and best written of Woolf's biographies. Woolf's troubles with illness began when she was 13 and her mother died suddenly. Her father thought that she was grieving too much and initiated the series of confinements and medical interventions that haunted Woolf for the rest of her life. Central to her treatment, starting in childhood, was confinement to bed in a quiet room, no company, no books, and certainly no writing, and a bland diet, sometimes just of milk, that she had to consume until she had gained a certain amount of weight and was thus judged to be ready to emerge from her sick room. As an adult, she and her husband Leonard kept a ramshackle cottage in the country, Monk's House, where they could go during the hot London summers, and where she spent many of her illnesses in the belief that quiet and country air could help her to recover. On Being Ill is a meditation, first written for T.S. Eliot's launch of a new literary magazine, on how illness can allow any of us to connect to the world and our imaginations in a new way. It is fanciful and free-floating. It shares some of the qualities you may have noticed in A Room of One's Own or Mr. Bennet and Mrs. Brown, freely mixing observations of the world with fictionalized fantasies that allow someone with a novelist turn of mind to explore the world imaginatively. Woolf also tries to recreate the feeling of being confined in a small, safe place, while outside the world goes on its way. She thinks about the implications of this, concluding that sickness allows individuals to escape from the responsibilities of the healthy, writing, "Directly the bed is called for, or sunk deep among pillows in one chair, we raise our feet even an inch above the ground on another. We cease to be soldiers in the army of the upright. We become deserters. They march to battle. We float with the sticks on the stream, helter-skelter with the dead leaves on the lawn, irresponsible and disinterested, and able, perhaps for the first time for years, to look round, to look up, to look, for example, at the sky." Released from one's usual cares, she says, one can explore the imagination in new ways. Sickness shouldn't just be an event in a novel's plot that leads to something important like a death. Remember, life isn't a series of gig lamps symmetrically arranged. It is a luminous halo that surrounds us from the first moment of consciousness to the last. Instead, sickness can be a portal through which readers and writers understand the world in new ways. It is an altered state of consciousness. You aren't your regular self, but you're still connected to the world, that enables freedom and innovation. As you read, think about what particular things Woolf suggests we gain access to through illness. What insights into ourselves and others become available? How does our personality change? What doors can open for us as, from our beds, we gaze into the sky?